Hey, welcome back to my hobby KY. Thank you guys so much for coming, and I got a new video for you today. Hey, so what are we doing in today's video? Well, we are showing you how to install the AeroForce Interceptor gauge. So I have the single gauge cluster. They do make, multiple gauges, and they make much more complex ones that tie into more systems. But this one is a pretty just straightforward gauge to ODB2 connector, and you're just plugging in one of the ports right in the back. So the ODB2 connector goes straight into the back of the port, and that's the only connection you're really dealing with that gives you the power and all the readings you're looking for. All right, so you can see that the interceptor gauge is already installed in the car. So the job's all done. We're just gonna go and show you what it takes to get this done. And I'm gonna cover a few things that I think will help you along the way to make it a little bit faster. It is pretty straightforward, but just make it a little bit faster and easier for you. Okay, so a few things that'll make this job easier for you. The pod has some insulation, like a thin piece of insulation that you can put along the bottom of it. When I put that insulation on and I pop the pod down into the spot, it doesn't sit that well and it wants to move. So I took the insulation off. So I installed this without that insulation on there. Hopefully that doesn't cause me any issues, but it sat in there and clicked into the base much better. Otherwise, I was having issues where it just felt like the pod was just gonna pop out. When I took that insulation off, I was able to get the pod in, and I've had that in for 2 weeks and no issues, hasn't popped out. Aggressive driving, regular driving, speed bumps, all of that's been fine. So the only other thing that I would say that was kind of challenging was that I really should have just drilled that hole first. So you'll see kind of in the middle of the video, you're gonna drill a hole in the defroster kind of vent so that you can fish the wire through it and then up through the pod. So you can go to that part, but that part's what I'm talking about here. I tried kind of just fishing it around and then realized that there was no way to put it over and have the vents line up so that you still get some defroster going. Because they actually did in the pod put a little defroster point on the side, and so you still get some defrosting going even with that pod in. And so you need to drill that hole. They give you a little bit of putty. I showed that in the video too. Once you get the length right, putty and close that hole just so you don't have the air kind of escaping, right? Obviously that kind of defeats the purpose. And then you can plug it right in. The hardest part I found was fishing that up and then getting it through that hole. I didn't want to make that hole too big. I wanted to make it a little bit bigger than the wire, but not a lot bigger. And so that made that tough. There's not much room for your hands around the vent. So kind of view, this is like a circle like the vent. It's coming over the side of the main vent, not the defroster, but that main vent circle, right? And then it's coming up and through. Now, it needs to come up and through, you gotta drill that hole. So you have to go over and above it, and then there's a hole and you're trying to fish it through. So my suggestion is, do what I did, get a little bit, do what I did eventually. Get a little bit of string, tie it, and pull it up, and once you can kind of see it through the top, you can pull it through your hands or get some, little pliers or something and just kind of gently pull. And again, gently pull because that is the connector to the back of the pod. I think that's about it. I think really those two things were the big things, right? And I guess when you turn it on. So when I turned it on, I kind of freaked out. It takes a little bit. So get the engine running, let it sit. I ended up turning the car off, freaking out, thinking, oh man, I didn't connect something. That's not what happened. As soon as I turned it back on, it came back up. So just give it a little bit of time. I was a bit impatient. I thought, boom, it should come right up. It didn't come on with the accessory. It does now. You can see when I was standing there that it comes on with the accessory now, but it didn't come on with the accessory before. So just give it a second, kind of let it get going, and then you'll have to do the setup of the gauge it'll come up to a setup menu, but I have a separate video on that. That'll follow shortly. So a quick overview of what we're gonna do here. Obviously the pod goes right here, this vent. So this vent needs to be popped out. The other things we're gonna do is we need to get access to the ODB2 connector, which is right down here. So we're gonna remove this panel. I think it has 3 little clips above there and 1 clip down there. So I'm just gonna start at the bottom with the tools and clip this up, and then hopefully those 3 pop out pretty easily. Next thing we're gonna do is pop this forward so we can get access behind the vent, hopefully to just kind of push that one up while we pry a little bit. This one's in pretty solid. So here's the pod. I just have a single pod. The pod is gonna pop down in here when we have that out, right? And you'll be able to see the gauge then right here. This is the connector to the ODB2 port, and we are going to fish up from the bottom because I don't think this head will fit down through that port. So we'll fish this up and kind of wind this up because it's gonna kind of need to stay down in here. I'll just get some tie wraps, I guess, and try to get this as tight as I can so that this closes. I don't know how much room I actually have to deal with here. And then we'll fish it from, connect to the ODB2 port, fish that through here, fish it up, and then fish it through the bottom of this, right, and then out. So through the bottom and then out, right? So that should be it. It sounds pretty straightforward. There are a few things I am concerned about, so let's talk about that. Okay, so on the pod, right? Pretty straightforward. The pod's gonna sit in like this, and there's your gauges, right? And the pod is in that little duct, right? So no big deal, that seems fine. I'm a little concerned about the following. So this clip, it's not a clip, but this little notch right in these notches, I'm hoping these notches fit well and really just clip it down in there. They give you this kind of, little foam. So you run that foam around the top. So I'm hoping that doesn't impede this at all and my ability to clip it down in there, but I guess we'll find out. The other thing is this little bit of tape they give you. I just don't know if that's gonna hold this in place. It's not super tight. So you'd be pressing it against just that little bit. We'll try it for now, right? Worst case, I guess I can pull it out and get something else, a bigger sticky that will hold in place maybe. Or maybe there will be no issue. Time will tell. But those are kind of the things that I'm concerned about. Obviously, when we open that up, the other concern will be, is there enough room to wrap all that cable? On this one, for me, it's just a simple connection. You can see on the back, there's the connector, the cable, right? So there's the connector there, ODB2 on the other side. So that connection part is nice and simple. Okay, so the gauge came with a number of faces. It also came with this kind of plastic piece with the SS logo on that. Full transparency, I jacked up that by thinking the plastic was a little dirty, so I wanted to clean it. And when I wanted to clean it, I took some of the SS logo off. So yeah, that sucks. So it is what it is. Live and learn. So be careful if you get it and get that SS logo in there, that you don't do the same thing I did, but I did, so whatever. So there's a black face and a white face on this one. I just went with a contrast for the white. The gauge itself should be blue, I hope. Fingers crossed, we'll see. Should be blue. But you're just literally, to undo it, you're unscrewing this, follow the two little points there, to set the pieces in and then screw the lid on and you're done. So you can easily go back and forth between, you know, different colors, or I don't even know if there would be aftermarket like versions, right? Like a, I don't know, a Mojave blue one. That would be nice. So looks really nice. I think it's gonna make the car look really kind of cool, and it'll be nice to see what alcohol content I am running on the ethanol. All right, let's get to it. Let's try to take this piece off and see how easy or hard that is. Just using my plastic tools. Then we'll pry this back. You can see that actually kind of pries back fairly easily. Not that worried about that. Just want to get under there so I can get this out without scratching the daylights out of this. So let's try. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. Not too bad. Here's the piece. So like I said, kind of, it's really two on the top, one down here on the side and the bottom one. So I went after this one. You will want to notice that, like, when you put it back, you're going to want to make sure you get it behind the rubber here, just so that it seals like it should. And you can kind of see that piece, right? We'll slide back where it was and create that seal for the door. But that part's off. Let's pull this, and then let's see if we can get to this piece. And then let's just feed some wires, and you know, hopefully this goes as smoothly as that went. All right, well, I'm not gonna use tools. I'm gonna use my hand because I don't need to like try to scrape this. And I'm just gonna apply some even force and pull that forward. So you can see, you know, there's a clip here, clip there, and there's the vent. So that's what I'm trying to get to. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna work, but I've had good luck with this tool before. Just a little hook here. Camera, you wanna help out? Anyway, I think you kind of get it. There's the hook. I'm kind of wondering if I could just... Okay, so awesome. That just popped out so easy. Okay, amazing. Anyway, feeling a little better. This has really those kind of same spots, right? Also looks like I should be putting that stuff around the bottom, not around the top. So kind of look at the piece. So I was thinking of placing that stuff around the top. I'm thinking I should be placing that stuff around the bottom, because on this piece, that's where it was. Got the cable. Let's fish it through. Hopefully this is going smooth as the rest of this is, because it's honestly been, you know, knock on wood. Now I say that, it's gonna be a freaking disaster, but anyway, this felt like been pretty lucky. No way, I dropped it. So it's not bad. Of course I dropped it. That's hilarious. I was just about to say, oh, that's so smooth and going so well. I wasn't a dummy in dropping it. All right, so just make sure to put it around the air vent. So this vent, there's a hole in here that goes through. Just make sure you fish this around the side of that vent, so when you put this back, you're not either crushing this or hurting the amount of airflow that you're gonna get. So, you know. So if you can see in here, it looks like the instructions actually said this. You know, hey, read the instructions. Anyway, so here's the cable, right? That is like a vent, and I need the cable to come through that vent and up into the pod, right? So if you can visualize, the pod here connects to that vent, right? That defroster vent, and then kind of creates that seal. So I need a hole in that so I can feed the cable through it and then into this pod. Otherwise I'm going to be crimping the pod and I won't get a good seal on that. And they do give you a little bit of seal to use for that purpose. So I'm gonna drill a bit of a hole and then I'll fish that through, and then hopefully we're just pushing it forward and starting to make the connections. Okay, so we now have it fished through the little hole that I drilled. Put a little putty in there. It's just hard to film that. But this probably was the hardest part, was going up and over the top of this vent and then coming through that little vent so that these guys will connect. So I'm gonna push this in and hope it connects fine. You know, cable should no longer be blocking it. Should be able to do that. Then we'll plug this into our gauge, plug that into the IDB2, and see if we're good to go. All right. All right, so it's connected. Let's get the key and see if it comes on. All right, nothing. Let me try and figure this out. Maybe I plugged it into the wrong one. Hey, look, she came to life. I guess it just needed to be set up. So she's on. I'm gonna button it up and call this video done. I'll do kind of another video in terms of some of the features of this gauge, and hope this helps somebody do the install. All right, so it's a simple job. Just make sure you take your time. There's plenty of room for that cable, so tie wrapping it, shoot, even if you didn't want to tie wrap and you just wanted to shove it back there, there's tons of room. Take your time just kind of fishing that wire and you're fine. Give yourself a little extra time to make sure that you got the car running and let it do its thing, and you'll be good. So really nice pod, lots of cool features. I've been playing around with it, so I think you'll really enjoy the different things that you can do with it. My big one was, since I went to the ethanol, was understanding what grade ethanol and how much alcohol was in the ethanol that I'm buying. It looks really good. I have one interesting thing, and I'm not sure if I'll cover this in a video on the pod or if I'll cover this in the review of Lethal Camaro's Flex Fuel Kit, which is what I have on the car. But I had kind of one interesting thing on that, and I'll cover that in either that video or the next video. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope this helps you guys out. Kent's gonna be here tomorrow, and he and I are gonna film a video on his car. It is a maintenance one, so for those of you not interested in Mustang maintenance, you might miss that video, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining because Kent's always got some jokes that he loves to crack. But that should be fun. We are well over 1,500 subscribers, so hey, thank you guys so much. It's freaking awesome. I really love it. I've been having a lot of fun. Sorry, I've been really busy with stuff. I'll keep doing videos. Obviously, you know, the channel doesn't make money, so all these mods and stuff are kind of on me and a couple kids in college. It's harder to buy mods. So I got stuff going. I've got other videos planned, and we'll certainly keep them coming. And thank you guys again so much. Love that we're up about 1,500 subscribers. I guess to 2,000. How cool is that? I was excited when we did the 25 subscribers and 50 subscriber videos. So this is well above expectation, and thank you guys. All right, so whether this is your next mod or you have some other cool mod to do, just have some fun with your car, and remember, keep modding.